Wawawiwa! Hello everybody. If you guys remember Metal Gear Solid, and I know you do, you would know that it started off, of course, as Metal Gear, and the whole concept of stealth or stealth action was pretty much defined and coined by said Metal Gear. It didn't really sort of take off in the sense that it became a genre or gameplay concept. Not popularly anyway. Until pretty much Metal Gear Solid sort of graced us on the PS1, and it just boomed. I think it was just a combination of many different things, not just gameplay alone, but it was definitely a type of game that was missing, a type of genre that was missing in the overall sort of genres of games. I mean, it was an experience that not many gamers at the time could find titles or samples of to play through. I mean, I just remember when I played Metal Gear Solid, I can't even recall any other games around that had that same type of stealth format. I couldn't. I mean, and I just know from that you've got games like Tenchu, and then of course Splinter Cell. I mean, they probably got developed parallel. I mean, don't quote me on it. I can't say for sure, but I mean, for sure Metal Gear Solid stands out as the granddaddy of them all. So it would warrant that there'd be many sort of copycats or titles that would claim homage to the good old granddaddy of them all. And here's a particular demo of a game. It's an indie game where not only they don't really pay homage to the game literally per se. In a way you could coin them as they're making a game that's a reverse Metal Gear Solid. A reverse Metal Gear Solid. So what that really means is instead of you playing the titular Solid Snake or a super soldier that's infiltrating an abandoned facility that's been overrun by terrorists, you're actually playing as the handler or the one on the seat that's overseeing the operations. Like TOC, or even Overlord. You're playing those type of characters that are just overseeing the mission and providing accurate intel and direction. Very unique concept, isn't it? So, I mean, I don't think this game is for everybody, but it is very attractive. So, I mean, if you like your action a bit more literal action, this might not fill the bill. But it's not really an interface simulator. I mean, this game is also a political thriller. So maybe I should probably tell you what the game is. It's a game called Burn-9. All right, you've probably heard about that a little bit. It just, it definitely just piqued my interest. I mean, like, if you remember, Metal Gear sort of tagline was, well, I mean, it had a tagline. This game utilizes tactical radio action as their tagline, and it definitely speaks wonders of what this game is really all about. You really are just almost breaking the fourth wall per se. Is it fourth wall or fifth wall? I think it's fourth wall. You're almost breaking that wall per se, and you as the player are the handler in charge of this operation, or like the overseer of this operation, and you navigate various types of interface screens, or maybe a couple, to sort of help the operative on the ground to get through whatever mess they've got themselves into / save the day. Like that's literally the gameplay, and it's strikingly different and seems very, very exciting. At least from my perspective, I can see myself really loving this type of game. So look, without further ado, let's just play the game. I'm gonna play the game for you guys, and I'll give you my 2 cents at the end. All right. breaking the fourth wall, isn't it? So look, tactical radio action. I mean, tactical espionage action, very close. I mean, like, but definitely that action component is not really direct. Look, what do you guys think? I enjoyed the experience. I thought the demo was very short. I would have loved another 10 more minutes at the very least. I mean, I was hooked. I loved it. I'm just gonna quickly say one of I guess my biggest critique is that it felt like the game was on rails. It really did. I didn't feel like I had any option to explore, or rather than sort of have to connect like a whole bunch of narrative cues together, and then move on to the next sort of like a scenario. I would have loved that, it didn't prompt me so often. It just allowed me to sort of, investigate, maybe go here, go there, be able to backtrack. I would have loved to have been given that freedom. I'm not very good. Oh, actually, it's not about I'm not very good. I'm just not really fond of games with time limits. So even if you put a time limit in that aspect, it would be okay to certain situations. But just giving you the ability to play the game as in a stealth action game, but not directly. Just give that same type of time limit and sort of grace. And I think you definitely have a loyal customer right here. So yeah, it just felt like the game was just hand leading me and putting me on rails a little bit too much. But other than that, look, the story is intriguing. I mean, it's definitely Metal Gear Solid. The situation, the scenario, it's very much the same with a few little tweaks that make this game its own. The artwork is fantastic. Love it, absolutely love it. Characters that have been popping up are just what you'd expect from a Metal Gear Solid homage. You get a bit of that that Kojima type of flair in terms of the political intrigue, and not only that, you get some really nice characters that pop up. I'm a very big fan of the original. Well, I mean the Metal Gear Solid series of call signs, you don't really see them in this day and age, the more ridiculous the better, I say. So I mean, I really do love it. This took it a notch down to a little bit more less fantastic fleets of fantasy, but I mean, characters like Manticore look awesome, and when was it Raijin? Is it? I can't remember the name, but I'll go back and have a look. But even if I don't, that other sort of character that sort of I guess this could be your rival. I was just getting like instant sort of Raiden vibes for some reason. But yeah, look, we need sort of get more games like this. Not too much to saturate, but I mean this had a skin that you don't see very often. I do miss the days of Metal Gear, and I unfortunately it feels like those days are behind us. But it's all about the fans and the indie studios that are able to produce like content, games that would mimic that type of world. And I mean, I'm just waiting for the day for the next big Hideo Kojima type person to come around and just bring something with just that AAA level of finesse and experimentalism, I suppose, and just give us a game that has everything. I mean, I'm a very big story buff, so I'm happy to sit through cutscenes a lot, especially only if it's a great story and premise and with really interesting characters. That's the only tidbit. So hey, before I close, I really did want to have a look at like the profiles for the characters. So here it is, and I mean, you don't get profiles for every single one, but it's very detailed. It's impressive. I love reading about the backstories of characters. I know, let's say with Solid Snake, there's an air of mystery about him. You don't get anything further than, I guess, his first name, or anything more recent than his first name. That sort of got, it's not a secret. I mean, it got released at the end of Metal Gear Solid as part of the dialogue. But I mean, I appreciate this level of detail with sort of putting info of characters, especially ones that seem to kick the bucket quite early, and I'm just hoping this list gets larger and larger the more characters you do meet, which probably is. I mean, like, I'm just I just took this little snippet from the beginning, so I mean, we got introduced to 2 more characters that I guess form part of the management team. That sort of Morgan has to sort of babysit around. So I wonder if they end up making their profiles ended up being listed under here. Probably yes. It's probably a very dynamic sort of database that gets updated as you progress through the game. But hey, look, that's all I've got to say for this game. Brilliant title. Look, I hope to see more games like this in the future. So look, without further ado, I'm gonna let this little excerpt of the profile database sort of play through, and I'll catch you around the next game. All right, peace out.